We have with us Mr. Shankar Raman, the Group CFO for L&T. Shankar, thank you for joining us on Bloomberg Quint.
Thank you.
Let me begin with this confusion on Ind AS, which has led to the stock getting, re-rated because of the confusion which is coming in. What has gone wrong in your communication to the analysts?
I think it's a issue of transition, adjusting to the new levels. We did attempt at our initiative a couple of conference calls and reached out to all the investors and buy side and sell side analysts on the principles of the new accounting standards. But obviously, I think the principles don't really substitute the numbers as they see. We possibly had limited data when we announced our Q1 results in the last week, which has led to this confusion. Given that we are a company which is not really linear, the quarterly numbers really did not hold clue as to how the final numbers would be. And there was this guidance that was given out in May, and that was on the back of March 16 numbers, which was done on the base of the old accounting standard. So people were at a loss to know how they extrapolate the new accounting standard into the guidance, and hence this conversation helps me to clarify some ground. There are 2-3 things that I want to once again re-emphasize to the viewers and the investors is at the top line. There are some companies which were earlier treated as subsidiaries, which no more are treated as subsidiaries because we share control with our partners in those companies. So there is an element of disaggregation of revenues at the top line. So to give you some sense of number, last year we had 1,03,000 crores as revenue consolidated for FY16, which we published in May. As of March. If I were to restate those numbers at the top line on the current accounting standard, I'll possibly have a 3,000 crore difference. The current accounting standards would reflect those revenues as 1,01,000 crore and not as 1,03,000 crore. So the impact on the top line is going to be 2 to 3% of what it would have been had it been in the old accounting standard.
My biggest thing is about the order intake. Now the street was expecting more order intake in Q1, and I saw some of the reports which saying that the order intake was less by nearly 4,800 crores because those were not identified in the quarter as orders. What do you have to say about that?
See, since we are in project business and we are dealing with large sized projects, the lumpiness in order intake is inevitable. We've never in the past so many years been able to have very uniform distribution of orders. When we give our guidance at the beginning of the year, we give keeping the year as a whole in mind and not quarter. Now there are some quarters where because of large orders they spike up and it is celebrated as very good performance, and there are quarters where you don't receive those orders and it looks very downcast. According to me, I think there's not much to be read in the quarterly movement of these orders. What is important for us is to get a sense of whether we are on course for the yearly order booking that we are seeking to do. Now current year, FY17, we are looking at a growth of 15%.
The other question is about the misallocation of capital which we have done in the last few years, and analysts are saying though it cannot be recovered back, you can do something by divesting some of the stake in it. Now this capital is roughly around 105 rupees per share on your book value. How do you plan to recover that kind of capital, because that's going to be a big challenge for you, right?
See, the allocation of capital cannot be judged from time to time. I think it has to be seen in the perspective of the long term strategy of the company. It might look as having misallocated if I look at the world class shipyard that I have built for defense. I think we have done India proud by having a capacity of that class in India built. Somebody had to do it. Some balance sheet had to take it. L&T, being a player with long term interest in defense, decided to walk that path. We have created that capacity. Now current returns, do they justify that investment? Surely not. But what would justify the returns is if the country decides to use the capacity to augment the defense forces and spend the capex that they have on their budget through utilization of this capacity will look very different. The utilization will look very different. There are a few orders where we ourselves have submitted our bids and they are awaiting being opened.
How will you recover the capital?
The capital will get recovered only out of utilizing the facility, and it has to come out of the revenues, it has to come out of the orders that we win for the capacity, the revenues that we earn by building the orders, executing the orders, and the margins that we make from executing those orders. So, when it comes to all this capital allocation, I think these have been done with a certain design and long term plan. They appear misallocated now, but we do believe that the purpose for which they have been created has not become faulty, and that they still will provide the opportunity at the right time. The other area where we have allocated a lot of capital is the concession business, the developmental project business, the toll roads and the metro and the transmission lines, etc. Now, there unlike many contractor cum owners, we have been able to commission these projects. We have more than a dozen commissioned projects today. The way to unlock capital there is to create a platform where these commissioned projects can be transferred to somebody who have the patient capital to hold these for 15, 20, 25 years. So, we are as a company working on creation of such a platform, and we fortunately have Canadian Pension Fund as a partner for us in this venture of developmental projects. So, we are in discussions with them, we are discussions with other interested participants, and we do hope 12 months forward we should be able to create a platform within this timeline and then have these assets transferred. If you are able to do that and find the right home for these assets, the capital that will get unlocked will provide the cushion back into the balance sheet.
How much will be that capital? How much in terms of?
That will be a function of the valuation exercise which we are.
Will you be able to recover the entire capital?
No, we will be able to recover the capital that we have invested in those businesses. We also have to go to the regulatory authorities to get the permission for doing that. The regulatory authorities will have to take a call as to whether they are okay with us divesting 75%, 80%, 90% or 100%. So, depending on the percentage that will be permitted for divestment, we will have a residuary capital left in this entity representing the statutory minimum that we are required.
How much is of the capital is stuck in this business?
We have totally in all our developmental project portfolio invested close to 4,000 crores, which is what we are saying about 10% of our net worth, a little less than 10%, 44,000 crores is our net worth. So, the total capital that is at work is about 4,000 crores. Roads are part of that.
One thing which came out very clearly after your results from the analyst reports is that your order intake and execution is going to be slow and weak this year. Is that perception right?
We have given a guidance that the revenues would grow by 12 to 15% over the last year, and that guidance reflects the pace of progress that we are anticipating.
But Q1 was below that level.
Historically, the Q1 and Q2s have always been weak quarters. A lot of our work gets done under the skies. So, during periods of monsoon, both run up to the monsoon and immediately after the monsoon, there is a period of slowdown. So, the first 6 months we do have to acknowledge that in our business it will be weaker as compared to the next 6 months, and you can have this validated through successive quarters of the past years.
But you are betting on domestic business to come back in the second half to take the volumes up then?
For execution, we are betting equally on international and domestic. There is no bias towards domestic or dependence on domestic. Both engines need to fire. International, fortunately, is moving all right because they are not as affected by the monsoon and ground conditions as we are in India. So, there we find that in the first quarter even, the international sales have grown by 20% as compared to domestic. Domestic have grown by 5%. Overall, we have grown by 9%. So, this dynamic between international and domestic will continue to play, and we do believe by the end of the year, we will be in the band of 12 to 15%. Well, is that to potential? I think it is not to potential. We ought to be growing much faster.
You are also projecting that in the second half you are going to grow more than 15%, so that you can make up for the 12 to 15% band.
That's right, and that always has been the case. Last year when we grew our revenue by about 11-12%, we had a larger growth in Q3 and Q4 as compared to Q1 and Q2. So we do factor that into our guidance when we guide for the year as a whole.
One of the analyst report mentioned that they may have to bring down the EPS target by 7% for FY17, and that's primarily because of the new accounting norms which have come in. What is the kind of impact that you see on a net profit level going forward as Indian accounting standards come in?
See, since we give guidance on EBITDA as a normal course, let me start with EBITDA. Last year, FY16, we had a full year EBITDA of all engineering construction businesses, excluding services, at 10.8%.
Right.
Now, that if I were to restate based on current accounting standards, will be something like 9.5%. So 10.8 actually comes down to 9.5. We have given a guidance in the current year that the revenues would go up, the margins would go up by 0.5%, 50 basis points. So we do hope that in the current year, we will have from engineering construction business, the core cluster, of something like 10% margin on EBITDA. Now this was against the 10.8 that we saw last year. So in a broad basis, about 80 basis points to 100 basis points would be the differential in the EBITDA as we compute. We should also realize that it is not something which has disappeared from the profitability, because the shrinkage of EBITDA is on account of two reasons. One is all the subsidiaries that we used to consolidate and hence take advantage of their EBITDA. Some of them have got desubsidized and hence they are not part of EBITDA. So about 50 to 60 basis points out of the 100 basis point shrinkage is on account of this factor alone. They come in to add to my profits finally, but they are not part of EBITDA. They get added after the EBITDA line. So that is one. So it is more rearrangement of profitability rather than EBITDA disappearing. So the concern that the market displays in terms of EBITDA having shrunk needs to be understood in the context that while EBITDA might have shrunk, the net impact on the profitability does not change. It gets added at a different line. But for reasons of record and completeness, it is important to understand that whatever was the historical EBITDA on the engineering construction business need to be reset down by 80 basis points to 100 basis points.
So last year, you on a consolidated level, you had an EBITDA of around 12%.
Yes.
Now will that EBITDA band will come down to where what
between
9 and 10 or 9 and 11?
Overall, the EBITDA at the consolidated level when we reported 12, it included all business that we run, including the services business. As against that 12, we are likely to be in the band of 11, 11 and a half, and not 8 and 9, because the quarterly EBITDA at a consolidated level of 8.7 should not mislead the investors, because the quarter is not the representative of the full year. As I told you, the revenue gets built up in the quarter 3 and quarter 4. So much of the margins gets released in quarter 3 and quarter 4.
So you will go up to 11.5% by the end of the year.
End of the year, as against the 12 that you saw. So the dip, that is what I was trying to say, anywhere between 50 basis points to 100 basis points could be the differential on account of the new accounting norms.
Last year you had a net profit of 5,090 crores on a consolidated level. By how much will that get restated? Given if we go by the example of the Q1 FY16, you had an impact of nearly 200 crores.
Correct.
So is it fair to assume that 800 to 1,000 crores is what the restated profit?
You are spot on. You are spot on.
That would be there. So the street can work with 4,000, 4,200 crores as the base figure.
Yeah.
Right.
And we will try to clarify this. I mean, from a dimension, I completely concur with you. But on the exactness of the numbers, I think we will run our audit process through and have that released at the earliest opportunity.
Finally, much of the confusion is because there is no base numbers which is available for the street to look at. By when do you expect the base numbers to come in so that it provides more clarity to the street?
Looking at the gravity of the situation and the responses in terms of confusion that has been caused, I am tempted to look at the earliest opportunity where we can have the base number released. But as I mentioned to you, I would like it to be audit reviewed before they are released. So while the SEBI mandates in a way in terms of minimum disclosure this to be available in Q4, we will try to see whether we can fast forward that process to bring clarity to the marketplace. But I just want to assure you that the change in accounting standards has not taken the sheen of the profitability inherent of the business or the revenue positioning of the business. It is just rearrangement of some of the revenues and profits.
It's just a perception which is getting created that is impacting you rather than it's actually happening.
You can look at it either as a response to what I read and hear, or you can also take it as something that I want to state upfront to say that I think nothing has changed so dramatically for things to get onto any panic mode. The market will stabilize and understand, and I think our business continues to be on sound footing.
Shankar, thank you very much for joining
You're welcome.
us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.